41,000 feet over open ocean. Right now, the air outside is minus 60 degrees Celsius. Cold enough to freeze your skin in under a minute. Cold enough to turn jet fuel into slush if nothing stopped it. And 20 centimeters away, on the other side of a thin wall, someone's sitting in short sleeves. That's the whole job of an airplane's heating system. Hold that gap, minute after minute, for the entire flight. So here's the real question. What actually happens when a plane loses that heat at minus 60? Because that wall does a lot of quiet work, right up until it doesn't hold. To understand how that wall can fail, you first need to understand what it's actually doing. Because keeping the cabin warm undersells it. This isn't just a heater. It's closer to a life support system that also happens to keep your coffee from freezing. Here's the shape of the problem. Outside, minus 60. Inside, room temperature. That's not a small gap to close. That's roughly the difference between a summer day in Phoenix and the surface of Mars. And the plane is expected to hold that gap without fail for the entire flight. So where does the heat even come from? Not a furnace, not electric coils. It comes from the engines themselves. Air pulled straight from the engine's core, already hundreds of degrees hot, taken before it ever leaves the turbine. That's the raw ingredient. What happens to it next is where this gets interesting. That scorching engine air can't go straight into the cabin. It would cook everyone on board in minutes. So first, it has to be tamed. It's routed through something called a heat exchanger, which is really just a metal maze where blistering engine air and freezing outside air pass within inches of each other. Close enough to trade their temperature, never close enough to touch. From there, it moves into the plane's environmental control system, which is really just a fancy name for one system doing 4 jobs at once. It's your heater, your air conditioner, your oxygen supply, and your pressurization, all running at the same time, every single flight. And almost nobody on board ever thinks about it, which is exactly how it's supposed to feel. Invisible, boring even. The moment you start noticing your cabin's climate, something has already gone wrong. And there's a weak point, a quiet one. That heat exchanger, the maze where hot and cold air pass each other, is also the coldest part of the entire system. Cold enough that under the wrong conditions, moisture in the air can freeze right there, inside the maze itself. A little ice, in the wrong spot, at the wrong time. That's all it takes. Quick pause here. If this is exactly the kind of thing you come to this channel for, hit like. It sounds small, but it's the easiest way to tell YouTube to put this in front of more people who genuinely enjoy it too. All right, back to the story. Picture it. Cruise altitude. Autopilot engaged. The kind of flight that by every measure is going exactly the way it's supposed to. 14:22. A single amber light comes on. Nothing dramatic, the kind of light a career pilot sees a dozen times and barely thinks about. Logged. Noted. Moving on. But 3 rows back, someone already senses something the cockpit doesn't know yet. It's getting colder. 14:31. 9 minutes later. A temperature reading has drifted. Not alarmingly, not yet, but enough to get a second look. Which raises an obvious question. If this whole system is built with backups on backups, why is a number drifting at all? Here's what they don't know yet. Inside that heat exchanger, ice has started closing the maze, narrowing the path the warm air has to travel, forcing the whole system to work harder for less result. It's not failing, not yet. It's straining. 14:38. And now it's not just a number on a screen. It's breath fogging inside the cabin, not outside the window, inside. That's not supposed to happen. A call comes to the cockpit. Passengers are cold. really cold, not can I get a blanket cold. And that's the moment this stops being routine. Honestly, if you were sitting in that cabin right now, watching your own breath fog up in front of you, what would be going through your head? Drop it in the comments. I actually read them, and I'm curious how many of you would notice before the crew did. Now the crew has a decision, and it's not a comfortable one. Hold altitude and trust a heating system that's already straining, or descend into thicker, warmer air where the ice has a chance to clear, but into weather they can't fully see through yet. Neither option is free. Every minute they wait, that maze narrows a little more. Every minute they don't wait, they're descending blind into conditions they haven't confirmed. There's no manual for this exact moment. There's training, there's instinct, built over thousands of hours, and there's about 90 seconds to decide which one to trust. Here's the part that actually matters. The heat exchanger was straining, but it was never the only way through. Behind it, a second path exists for exactly this scenario. A way to reroute warm air around the blockage, buying time without needing a single dramatic decision at all. The crew descends anyway, just as a precaution, not because the plane demanded it, but because that's the standard. 10 minutes later, warmer air, warmer engines, and the ice clears on its own, the way it's designed to. No emergency declared, no mayday, just a quiet, unremarkable landing, right on schedule, which, in its own way, is the entire point. Because this system was never built assuming it wouldn't fail. It was built assuming it would, and then given somewhere else to go when it did. And if you know someone who gets nervous every time they fly, this is honestly a good one to send them. Sometimes, the scariest part of flying isn't the failure. It's not knowing there was always a backup waiting behind it. So next time you're 35,000 feet up and it's -60 just outside your window, you probably won't think about any of this. And that's kind of the whole idea. The best engineering isn't the kind you notice. It's the kind that already planned for the day it might fail, so you never actually have to find out what that day feels like. We spend a lot of time being amazed by things that work perfectly. Maybe the more amazing thing is a machine that was built from day one to fail safely, quietly, invisibly, exactly the way it's supposed to. If you want more of this, the hidden systems that keep planes in the air, and what happens on the rare day they don't, hit subscribe and take a look at the playlist on screen right now. There's already a video in there you're going to want to watch next. I'd see you in the next one.